So far, I'd like to hear something about your administration ever since you were handed over to up till now.
Thank you very much. I think that I should say that the administration is almost about dying. We're at the peak end of administration, just about a month or something, we'll be out of the office. It's not been an easy road throughout the process. We've had our own highs, our own lows. Every administration comes with challenges. In as much as there's always a loop that the students contribute to that make up the student SRCBs. At one point or the other, there could be a bottleneck in releasing those funds for the work that you would want to do. I think that one of the major challenges this administration has faced is the timing of funds. The timing of funds released to the campus or to the local level. There's one other thing that it's not been bad, but it's not also helped facilitate a lot of things. I think that over the years, because of the experiences we've had with SRC, there's been a lot of checks and balances on this particular administration, not necessarily from the student domain. I'm referring to the SRC or the student leadership and management. There's been that sort of line where everybody wants to be careful not to commit oneself at one point. So I think that the administration has fared well, but we've just had hitches with releasing of funds.
Okay, talking about your co-workers, the executives, it was alleged that 2 people has resigned. Actually, I want to know the truth in that.
Okay, should I say yes? 2 people resigned. Now,
will or have?
Have. 2 people have resigned. Now, the reason why 2 people resigned was because one was running for SRC president, and so he needed to resign per constitution so that he moves ahead. Emmanuel Kofi Abuchi has resigned. The other person who resigned was Said Ibrahim Sise, the deputy speaker. I think that in the resignation letter that I received, there were no clear language as to why he resigned. I think it was at the early part of our administration. He indicated that he had some personal principles that he wanted to, or some personal things he wanted to do, and he felt that being in office then couldn't allow him to do that. And so these are, to the best of my knowledge, like I said, one resigned because he said he had personal things to do. Another also resigned because he had a personal thing to do, which was putting himself for service.
Yeah. Okay, we brought the views and the grievances of the students' populace as a whole. They want to actually know from your manifestos and the things you said, say your policies. Actually, they want to know which of them you've been able to achieve.
So far,
in the pipeline.
With our policies, I think that when we started the campaign, we spoke about the SRC 5-year strategic development plan. We spoke about a lectures and symposia, which was meant for capacity building. We spoke about the off-campus street lighting system because of how bad the situation looked then, and it's not been any good either. We spoke about ensuring that we put a lot of welfare policies, and as part of the welfare policies, we discussed the student welfare plan or the student welfare fund. Now, the 5-year strategic development plan commenced. It's still work in progress. We're yet to complete the plan. If I say we're yet to complete the plan, it means that the General Assembly, which is the highest decision-making body of the students, is yet to adopt the plan as a working document.
Can you tell us what the plan is actually?
Okay, so the plan comprises of, or the plan actually looks at how our SRC could develop in, say, the next 5 years. We looked at what our shortcomings are, or what our shortcomings have been over the last, should I say, 17 years in NAVRONGO here. We've been here from 2000. And so our shortcomings, why haven't we progressed? Because you could see that every time there's a change in administration, there's that sort of abandoning of projects, and new projects would start and what have you. The focus has not necessarily led us to one endpoint. The plan looks at our administrative setup. We're not done with the plan, so I could only talk about a few things. I can't go deep into, because we're still finishing up with a few things. As part of the plan, they're looking at a more robust administrative setup for the SRC, where you realize that from administration to administrations, the way we pass on documentations are very poor. And so that's even one fundamental of ensuring that we're able to continue projects. Within the 5-year strategy development plan, a process to establish or to build an SRC hostel is considered within that. Within the 5-year strategy development plan, we look at student development in general, and we look at student welfare. These are the critical things. So the student development, student welfare, the administrative setup of SRC, which we feel is very weak, and we need to ensure that it's the bottom or it's the basis for us to grow.
So as of now, you said it's still not complete, you are yet to adapt, and your tenure of office is almost ended. So how sure it will actually be successful?
Okay, we're very positive that it will be successful. Now, if I spoke about its incompleteness, it didn't mean that we're not done with the thing. Like I said, it's a matter of the General Assembly adapting. And the SRC, even if we had had elections, which is another matter, even if we had had elections, the SRC does not die there and then. We probably might be going for about 2 General Assembly meetings before we even hand over. And so it's a matter of the representatives of the people, those that make up the legislative body of the SRC, adapting it as a working document. And once it's adapted as a working document, we have no issues of whether it will work or not.
Okay. This is something the student populace would like to know. A tangible achievement for the students. SRC, what has SRC done for the student that is tangible and we can all see?
Now, what has SRC done? We've first of all had, should I call it, change of all the formica or the marker boards within the new blocks. Is it the new top floors and the new ground floors? We had complaints about people's visuals at that area. We've had to work on the 2 summer hats that were built by His Excellency Emmanuel Ofosu, 2014-2015. Pixeta. The project has commenced. The project is not completed. The paperwork and the documentations for it had already commenced. You realize I came in later. When I came in, I was telling you about the fact that I had to go to the Dean's office to meet with the procurement people. And that aside, the SRC this year had already procured PA systems for NHA1 and NH1, the 2 large blocks. Now, the problem with these, especially the PA systems that I spoke about, the fact that it had to go through a process. Now, the procurement, when I began, I said that the bureaucracy sometimes in our system can drag things back. Last week I was in Tamale. It was just until last week that the procurement unit of the university had opened up the pool for people to tender in their bid, or for people to bid for the contract. And so we're assured that before we hand over to whoever was supposed to hand over to, they should have fixed these things. Now, away from these things, I think that my administration or my campaign was not built on a lot of physical infrastructure. That's when you talk about tangibles. I was smiling when you said tangibles. I think that leadership is not just about coming, raising a structure and going. Leadership is about the systems that you're able to put in place. I personally believe that for a good institution, for an institution to thrive, it depends on the kind of systems that we create. And so this SRC has been focused more on systems. When I talk about systems, I talk about the student welfare plan, or student welfare fund. Given time, I'll talk a little about it. We had a welfare, I think that we've had a lot of concentration on the welfare of students, where we had to involve the municipal assembly to come in to regulate our food vendors. So we ran health screening for our food vendors to ensure that they all have health cards. We did the first survey. There was a report that was brought to me. I read through the report. I reported to members of the General Assembly that we had gone this far. The Municipal Assembly is supposed to come now, conduct or give them the health cards. So probably from the next academic year, you would see tags on or some stickers at every vendor that sells food. It means that the person is verified to sell food.
I guess Muni too is verified because you love Muni.
Yes, Coco too. I think Muni already has, she already has a health card, but we're still running the system again. There was a hostel profiling. Now, beyond the hostel profiling, we tried as much as possible to do a student hostel database. So we were, the focus is to be able to know that in first year, Kendra moved from hostel A to hostel B. Okay. In second year, she stayed in hostel B. In third year, she moved. Now, if we're able to track, the SRC starts with the counseling unit and the hall tutors or the senior hall tutors, and then realize that if we're able to track these kind of movements of students, we solve a lot of problems, because over the years we've had a lot of hostel managers and students related issues. There are some issues that have led us to the police station. There are some issues that have led some students to the hospitals and what have you. And so if you're able to track these things, you're able to know that this particular hostel, there's an issue there. And so the counseling unit can decide to come in when we realize that there's an issue with a particular student because he moves from hostel to hostel, and every time he moves from another hostel, we have to record an incident between him and somebody. And so all these things add up to our human development. I think that that's what leadership is about. Okay. If we're supposed to list, I think that this administration have spent a lot of our energies on these things, and we can't finish the list. It's a very long, unending list.
There are a lot of articles going out there to the various platforms, WhatsApp platforms, that this year's administration, let me say, has followed the previous administration of embezzlement of funds. And we want to know how true it is. We've had it in Pay Secretary's time, Agbo's time, and we are also hearing it in your time too.
And even more, probably this time around, is even more than the previous ones.
How true is that?
Well, thank you very much. I think that most often than not, I believe that before you make some statements, or we're serving in a public office, and so with public office, we need to do due diligence when we do our work. For somebody to say that a group of people have embezzled their funds or whatever, I think that they should be able to substantiate.
Okay.
It's when you live in a world of a free media, a free press, where anybody can rise up at any point in time and say A, B, C, D. It's just as easy as waking up to say that, hey, we think that this administration has killed 50 students, has killed 1,000 students, but if you cannot substantiate what you're saying, I don't think that there's any merit to that matter. Truth of the matter is we have not even done so. We have not even done so. The more reason...
Not even a peso.
Not even a peso. Not even a peso. Yes.
Okay. So this may be the last but not one question. We want to know your view on the injunction placed on this voting. Yeah, the election.
A lot of people know me to be somebody who, should I say, have a great deal of respect for the rule of law. And I'm one person who believes that if there's something that we're supposed to do, we're supposed to test the system that we have. We're supposed to put ourselves in that position where we're able to test the kind of democracy that we run here on campus. It's a good thing. I personally do not have any qualms with anyone. I think that with matters of somebody feeling that he's not being justly dealt with and he wants to seek redress and would rather not resort to some sort of violence but would go to a court, I think it's a good thing. It's a good thing for us to test the system, for us to know. It's good when you feel that something that is right is not being done and you want to test. I'm absolutely 101% for it. I think that the only unfortunate part of this situation is that a lot of people have misconstrued the whole scenario on campus, and sometimes it hurts. Sometimes it's a bit you find it difficult to comprehend how some people that you would have felt should have had a better understanding of issues try to misinterpret the whole matter. But well, that's the beauty of democracy, and that's the beauty of politics. So you do what you want to do to get to where you want to get to. But I just don't believe in a Machiavellian system where you do anything you want to do because you want to achieve something.
Okay. Well, there are rumors that you actually have some kind of personal interest in this whole election thing, and you have a favorite candidate.
Yeah, we heard it.
A favorite candidate in which you want to use your administration, I mean everything, to push him to the top and make sure he wins this election. Any truth in this?
Okay. One, there's no truth in it, but
you don't have any favorites among these contestants?
I wouldn't say I have a favorite.
Someone actually said...
Can you mention a name? Because
personally, you told Asenso personally that you are going to hand over to him.
I told Asenso, that's
yes.
Asenso also. Now, yes, I think that there's been a lot of, that's why I say that there's been a lot of misinformation in the system. I read one article, was it 2 days ago or 3 days ago? I've been off social media. I'm working on a few projects, so I hardly have time for social media. I get people to tell me what's happening on social media, and I think that it's been very unfortunate, the kind of, should I say, information that has been put out there. I read something one time and it actually said that I promised Asenso that I was going to make him SRC president. Yeah. And it said that I had I did that during my campaign, the second round. Yes, I read that I promised him that during the runoff, that if he comes to support me, I was going to make him SRC president. I read another one that sought to suggest that I've had series of meetings with Asenso just to assure him that. Now, what I would want to say unequivocally is that I have not promised any of the aspirants that I would make him SRC president. As a matter of fact, I think that Emmanuel Kofi Abochi is closer to me than any of the aspirants. Kofi Abochi, he's closer to me than any of the aspirants. If you realize, he served in my administration.
More PRO.
No, he was a clerk. He was a clerk to the General Assembly. Now, during my campaign, Emmanuel Kofi Abochi was my campaign's deputy or vice secretary. And so he's been closer to me as a person than any of the aspirants. Now, this is where the whole confusion or the whole thing is coming from. Like I said, in one of the write-ups, it said that I promised Asenso this during our second round. Now, from the first round of our election, let me not say from the first round. It's going to be a bit boring if I should bore you with all the stories that comes with it. But you realize that last year, once Asenso was disqualified from the campaign, my campaign team spoke to him and asked that we needed him to support us. Now, when we asked him to support us, there was nothing on the table. There was nothing, there's absolutely nothing on the table. Actually, before he ran for SRC president, we had tried to keep some mutual conversations. At a point in time, we wanted to merge. During our campaign, we tried even merging with all the other aspirants. We just wanted to form a very formidable force and run the election. It couldn't work then. We couldn't come together. But after the election, after the vetting and he was out, he willingly joined our campaign team. Mm-hmm. So from the first round of it, we were in the race. And so we couldn't have now promised him something in the second round. It doesn't make sense that he would join the train from the first round because we led the first round. There was nothing to promise actually. He was with the campaign team and he helped us achieve what we wanted to achieve, which was victory, which was to come and serve the people. Now, after that, I've had him come to me on several occasions to ask me, "Oh, Presido, how is this thing like? How is this thing like?" I remember when we went to Central Administration and we endorsed the plan of the Student Welfare Fund, where 59 Ghana cedis in the fee complements, there's a 59 Ghana cedis paid for welfare and for health and sanitation. And we had discussed with management to use 15 Ghana cedis out of the 59 Ghana cedis to set up that fund. That was after our fee negotiation. And so the fund couldn't have directly had its implementation. What it means is that at the next payment of fees, which would be the next academic year, after fees are paid, 15 Ghana cedis from each student's fees is going to be sent down to the various campus levels managed by the Vising of Students, the SRC, and some selected members of the university to run a student welfare fund. Now, he came to me and we gave him, he seeks for counsel. So you might see him come to me, but as somebody who wants to lead, if you come to me and ask me a question, I don't think that I have to hold on to the response. You need it to be able to make sound judgments when you come to office. I've had APAM also come to me, and we've given APAM that assistance. The mere fact that Asenso supported my campaign last year does not guarantee that my administration will vote for him. I have just one vote. Just one vote. If I should vote, if we should conduct an election, I can only vote for one candidate. And so I can have a candidate who is a favorite candidate to me. When I go to the polls, I will vote for that candidate. But I cannot pass that candidature on to the student public. I can't do that. Because I have just one vote. How would I pass on that candidature? It's impossible. And so I stand to say that Asenso is a candidate I admire, Kofi Aboki is a candidate I admire Apam, and I admire Yaya Yakubu. I admire, what's his name? Kwame Jr. Anybody that puts himself up for service, I admire the courage, because it's not easy to stand up and say you want to serve a group of people. You need to consider, most especially when an administration is already there and a lot of people are throwing jibes at the administration. You wonder how the gentleman who leads that captain or who captains that ship absorbs everything. And so you would have to think twice about it. And so I admire them. I can't root for one candidate. I'll vote for one candidate, but I can't pass that candidate on to everybody.
Okay. Well, we would like to know, do you want to take politics far, or it's just for SLC and
I wouldn't want to say I would want to take politics far. I would say I want to take service far. Okay. I would, at every point in time, given the opportunity, want to serve people. It's a passion, something that I do out of free will to serve people. It doesn't matter where I'm serving or where I want to serve.
Okay, we had our source, okay, but we can't disclose the source that you are aspiring for an MP somewhere.
MP somewhere.
Not an MP, and look something outside campus.
It was actually very false. Anybody who understands the USAC constitution, I saw that circular. So anybody who understands the USAC constitution would appreciate the fact that you need to be in school before you can run for USAC presidency. And so I'm going out of school. I found it difficult to understand how I would run for USAC president if I'm going out of school. But that's not the case.
So we wouldn't waste much of your time. We would like you to tell the students anything that you have. Just think about it.
Yes. So far, looking at the election, like we've had a series of elections, like administrations having their election go smoothly and all that, and particularly this administration alone is going through a lot of headaches, ups and downs of all these things. What do you think is the main cause of all these, and what would you actually say about it?
Now, this is what I want to say. That I think that as people grow, we get to test our system, and we get to test the kind of democracy we run. We're in a democratic dispensation. We're not in one military regime or some. I've had one new one, obiri.
Yeah.
Well, even if we were in that kind of state, I think that what I believe or the convictions that I have is more geared towards a democratic system. And so sometimes these things are normal. It's normal for people to try and agitate when they feel that something is not being done right to them. But one thing that we must understand is that in as much as you have a right to agitate, does not necessarily mean you're right.
Okay.
You might agitate, but you're wrong.
Okay.
You might agitate, you would agitate, but you might be right. You would agitate, but you might be wrong. And so I like to leave these things into the hands of the law to decide. Now, I think that last year had its own election issues. I went to the vetting committee for about 2 times. I think that it's a very good opportunity I have here to clear the air. I've seen somewhere someone said that I lied to the vetting committee then. Yes, that I lied to the then vetting committee about my status of residency. I think that publication is very false, because then when I was asked that where do you reside, I said I was a non-resident. Now, if you come to school and you register for the academic year, I believe you are either made to pay an RFUF or a non-residential facility fee. Now, once I paid a non-residential facility fee, you couldn't have said that I was a resident. But then again, the argument came that I have, at one point in time, slept in the hall of residence with my friends because I passed the night a few times then. So because of that, I should pay for the whole facility, which I admitted and I paid. There was no point in time where we had a story where I had to lie to them that I was a resident or I was a non-resident, and that will remain the fact. Last year we had our own back and front, and so I think that it's only a test of the system we had last year. Last year, if you remember, the EC wanted to push the GPA to 3.0. It was at 2.5 per the Constitution. Now, then today's EC petitioned the court and said that it was a constitutional directive there, and one man could not just change what was in the Constitution just like that. And again, it has been taken that I couldn't have made that pass. That is why the EC petitioned that. But I think but the truth of the matter is that is not the case. If you see wrong, you should, regardless whether it would benefit you or not. The 3.0 was something that was not even a problem to our campaign then, because we were a lot of points past 3.0 by the grace of God. But then, if something was wrong, it had to be corrected. If something was wrong, it had to be corrected. And so we feel that this time around, if people think that they have issues with the process, they should have the opportunity to petition. And so I'm very much okay with the system. I think that it's only opening our eyes to a lot of things.
Will it in any way affect your administration?
No. Okay. It wouldn't affect us. Elections is just a process that we need to conduct for a new administration to take over. Now, in any case, the Constitution gives us the Constitution is fully aware that a time might come and we'll have a situation like this. And so the Constitution has made provision for who should take over in times like this and what should be done to restore the power of the people back to the people. And so we'll follow due procedure.
So tell the students if they're placing a remark for them.